What's up, guys? Welcome back to the joint where this guy needs some maintenance. So let's get started. All right, guys, we're going low tech because I was doing this and I thought, you know, this is probably something that you guys might find interesting. The Justin's jointers, the joint smokers, or the I'm the dumbest pipe channel in all of YouTube, the whole YTPC, especially since I don't always do pipe stuff. But anyway, today it's classic cars. So what's happened here is the charger has sprung a leak in its power steering system, and it's something that I'm hoping can be fixed with just a couple of O-rings, but we're about to find out. I already kind of got started here without you guys, but it's not too hard to take a battery out, so I figure, you know, you guys will have to forgive me. But let's move over to the car and check out what I've done so far. Okay, guys. We have the battery tray completely out, which gives us a little bit more access to this piece right here. It looks to me like there are two bolts that hold it on. One right here and one right here. It's completely soaked with power steering fluid. The main reason I want to make sure to get this done and get this done right is because that drips right down onto the headers, and I don't want to catch this car on fire. So I think the next thing to do is to detach this line here from the top of this unit so that it gives me a little bit better access to this bolt that's tucked in behind it. And then we'll probably actually take this hose off as well. So we'll check back in with you guys in just a second. Okay, we are back. We have got both of these power steering hoses removed, and then I tried to start to take these two bolts out of the front, but there really is not a good way to get at them. So I took these two bolts out of the top, and then we'll just go ahead and pull the whole thing. And it's actually probably a good thing. I'll go ahead and replace those O-rings while I'm at it. But now I can stick this thing in a vise and really get a good angle on these bolts, because they're really quite thin. So I was having trouble getting the sockets to really get a good bite on them. So we're gonna go stick this guy in the vise and see if we can't get her done and get her opened up here. Alright, guys, we're out here in the shed. I went ahead and stuck this guy in the vise to break these guys loose, and it looks to me like I have them completely loose. So let's just pull these out and have a look and see what we got going on in here. I have a feeling we're going to find a broken O-ring. Well, don't see that it's broken. However, they are definitely very flat, and this is where it was leaking from. So let's actually go somewhere where there's a little bit more light and have another look. Maybe I'll dig them out and see what we got going on, because it really doesn't take much for one of these O-rings to leak. Okay, guys, here's what we got. These are the three O-rings that were down in the housing down there. I've got it covered up with a blanket or a towel right now. These two O-rings are the two that were leaking, and it's plain to see, like these ones here, they still are a little bit rubbery, and it's obvious they're like a different material. But these two here, they're completely smashed flat, and they're almost like plastic. They don't feel very rubbery anymore. So what I'm gonna do is just get all new O-rings and just rebuild this whole thing, that way it doesn't leak. So the next stop for us is the parts store or the hardware store. I don't know, whichever one has the O-rings that I need. So here we go. Alright, guys, we're back in the garage. Yes, I am not wearing the same clothes because, you know, continuity, who cares about that? Anyway, in reality, it's been like a couple of weeks because, you know, life just got busy. I ran out of time when I was putting it back together, and you know, that's just what happens. So it sat here, and inevitably I went to Harbor Freight and got some oil O-rings, and they worked all right, but I went ahead and ordered the real ones anyway. I found a place where I could get them online. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get back to the video here. Okay, so here we are. I got the battery tray and the battery back in there just to start it up, because the silly thing with these old Bopar power steering units is that the valve box, or the valve assembly that sits on top of here, what I didn't realize when I pulled that off is that this thing has to sit just right, otherwise the car will self-steer. So what you gotta do is you just gotta get the O-rings in there and get it seated to where it won't leak when it's running, and then you just slide it back and forth, up and down, until you have the steering wheel stop trying to turn itself. So that's what we did. And the other thing that you got to be careful of is there's a pin right about here that sticks down into this power steering gearbox, and you got to make sure that it seats itself up in here. That's it's not hard. You just got to give it a jiggle in order to get that to seat. But as you can see, it's a little bit wet, because when you pull this off, the contents of the power steering basically just dump themselves all over the place. I have a nice puddle on the floor of my garage now, but it's all done and fixed, and it doesn't leak anymore. So yeah, you can see the puddle. I made a big mess. So the next thing that we are gonna do, and I don't know if I'll record this or not, is it needs a new battery, because the battery terminals are just terrible, and the battery itself is pretty old. I mean, it's been pretty reliable, honestly, in the past 5 or 6 years that I've had this car, but it just looks like it's time for it to be replaced. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that. Maybe I'll join back once that's all done, but yeah, you guys don't need to see the process. You know how to change a battery, you know how to do battery terminals, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back, and as you can see, let me just stick this guy somewhere. I've got some brand new battery terminals, 1 and 2. The old ones are over here. The -1, I don't know, I probably could have cleaned that up a little bit, but whoops, as I just got rejected. This one was completely broken. So it was just time for some new ones. So I think that about does it for this repair job here to fix this power steering leak, and then it turned into a lot more time than I wanted it to, but that's okay. I mean, it's not like this is my daily driver, so it just annoys me when it sits here in the garage and not getting driven, because it just sits here and gets dusty, and this car deserves to be driven. So the next step is just go get a battery. I'll put the battery in, and then we got to take it for a test drive, because while I've got the power steering adjusted to where it feels right here in the garage, I at least want to take it around the block, because the OCD in me will not be happy if I didn't get it adjusted just perfect. And what I mean is, like, let's say there's a window of perfect between my thumb and my index finger. I don't want it to just fall within that window. I want it to fall right in the middle of the window, because, I have a little bit of OCD. So I just, before I close down the project, I just want to make sure that everything is adjusted appropriately. So next stop is to get a battery, and then test drive, and then we're done. Okay guys, we are done. I'm officially calling this project to a close. We got new battery terminals, we got a brand new battery. It's actually the correct battery for the car, which is nice. The other one was just way too big. This one fits in the tray. So we're gonna go ahead and give her a start. All right guys, this is gonna be loud, but we're running, and we got no visible signs of active leaking going on down there. It's coming from like right around here somewhere, or the whole area. And the other nice thing is that the steering wheel is staying nice and put. The real test though is going to be driving it, because when it's rolling, the resistance to the steering gear is a lot less. So, I mean, while I think it's adjusted right, you know, I don't want to have it trying to jerk me down the road. So we're going to go for a quick test drive, and then that'll be that. All right, guys, we're in the car. We're driving her around, and it actually feels real nice. This thing steers like a lot crisper than it used to, which is kind of funny. I wasn't expecting that. It's not self-steering, but it's just when I turn the wheel, it just feels a lot faster, or it feels a lot, I don't know, smoother, I guess is what I would say. But anyway, so I'm taking it for a quick drive around the block because it's raining and I don't like driving this car in the rain. However, it needs to be proven in my mind that it's good to go, and it is. Got the proper battery, it's not leaking power steering fluid all over the place now, so we're good. Well, there's where the power steering decided to just dump itself all over my floor, but that's okay. I'll just put some of this clay over it and it'll soak up pretty good. But there it is. It's back in circulation. So that's it for this episode of Justin's Joint, where I actually fixed something. Once again, proving I'm the dumbest channel in all of the YTPC, because I don't talk about pipes all the time. We need to do something about that. Whatever. Later.